So here we go again with the next part of this series dealing with African American relationships, specifically dealing with African American men and what things we can do to be the men that we need to be. In this one, I want to focus specifically on responsibility, dealing with responsibility and ownership. And when I say responsibility and ownership, what I mean by that is being able to take responsibility for your own actions, for the things that you do in your own life, and not just looking at what other people are doing and saying, well, I'm doing this because somebody else did this, or whether it's you worrying about the examples that you learned at home, whether it was something you learned at school, from your peers, whether it's something you saw in a music video or in a movie, wherever. And even if it's something that you experienced personally, because looking at a lot of these different videos dealing with relationships, there's a lot of feedback on both sides for men and women who talk about, their behavior being a reaction to the type of treatment that they've received. So in dealing with responsibility, what I'll talk about is the fact that we can't allow our experiences to make us become jaded, or to cause us to start lowering our standards, or to become something that we never intended to be. So if you set out to be a gentleman, you set out to be the type of man who wants a stable relationship, who's eventually looking for marriage, kids, family, all those things. Don't let a couple experiences with a few negative people, somebody who didn't appreciate you for who you were, people who, maybe they made fun of you, or they said this, that, or the other about you because you weren't like, some other man, or you didn't have the type of money that somebody else had. You can't let that discourage you or sway you to try to, put on and pretend to be something that you're not, just to try to get what somebody else has. So that's the thing with responsibility. Like I was talking about in my last video about being confident in the decisions that you make. I mean, this just is like the next step in that. As first of all, like I said in the last video, being a person of substance, being about something, being somebody who strives to want your life to mean something when you look back on it. You want it to mean something to other people. And then when you make that decision, being confident in that decision. And that's where this responsibility comes from, is that confidence. I mean, you can't have that type of responsibility if you're not sure about what you're doing. I mean, if you're not sure about what you're doing, you're just going, something else comes along, you'll just put it down. But, dealing with responsibility, you can't just say, well, this person treated me this way, so that's why I am the way I am. Or, I've had numerous experiences where, people didn't appreciate me for who I am, or people didn't, they didn't respond to me the way I would have liked them to. And so now you want to be just like, the other people. And then, it's just this crazy cycle. And then if we as men are doing that, it's taking our negative experiences and we let that seep into us, and it begins to, shade who we are. And we start changing, and we start becoming, less focused on those positive things, less focused on having a stable family, less focused on, having a good job, less focused on, all those, those positive qualities, being compassionate towards, your fellow man, all those type of things, because then you start just chasing money because of all these negative experiences. And even if it's not money, you're just trying to have the type of personality that somebody else has because of the way you've been treated. But we can't let those things affect us. We have to take responsibility for our actions and really take time and think about, first of all, individually, how our actions are affecting other people. How do my actions affect, my family? How do my actions affect my friends? How does my actions, reflect, the women that I date? You got to think about these things, and then take responsibility for that and say, okay, well, if I'm having a negative impact on people, What do I do to change that? How do I become a person who's making a positive impact? What can I do to help? So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about when I say responsibility. When I say ownership, it's also about, you know, once you realize that whether it's your mistakes or you realize that, okay, well, there's something that, I'm not doing that I should be doing, or something that I'm doing that I should not be doing, taking ownership of those things and admitting to them and just owning everything that you do, positive and negative, and saying, okay, well, these are my bad habits, so I need to change them. And I can't say, well, the only reason I have this bad habit is because that other person. It's not even about that. I mean, that's what forgiveness is all about. It's not about letting another person off the hook because, oh, they're a really nice person. It's not even about them. It's about you. It's about being able to let go of all that hurt, that pain, so that you can go on and you can be a better person. Because as long as you keep focusing on the negative ways that you've been treated, on the negative things that you've experienced, the only thing that your mind has is those negative things. I mean, you're hoping for something positive, but as long as you're dwelling on the negative, your mind is just constantly keeping those thoughts alive, and they just grow and expand, and then those feelings start to become a part of who you are. So we got to learn to let those things go so that we can take responsibility for our own actions, and that's the only way, we're going to start growing and, being better men, being better human beings on this earth. So that's it for this video dealing with responsibility and ownership. So let me know what you all think. Hit me up in the comments, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.